This is going to be my reaction video to the Lions' 20-6 win over the Bucs in Week 6 on the road. This is a really impressive win. I'm not sure, as a Lions fan, which is the most impressive win so far. 5-1, I'm sure feels good. This may be the most impressive win for me because of the number of players that were missing, offensively and defensively for the Lions. David Montgomery going out during the first half, and the caliber of the defense you face in the Bucs on Sunday. We judge things so quickly as football fans or NFL fans. There's a little bit of a difference there, but that's a topic for another day. We judge things so quickly in terms of what's the best offense, what's the best defense. I kind of can't wait to see how some of these defenses and offenses shake out in terms of their overall rankings, stats, statistical judgments at the end of 17 games, because I think this Bucs defense looks really good. They looked really good on film. In the preview that I put out, I think Saturday, I said that I stopped watching after one game against the Saints. I saw all I needed to see, and I think they kind of proved that today. Now, to me, that tells you how good the Lions are, because they went down there on the road against a physical, fast football team that's very aggressive, at least on defense, and controlled much of the game, missing key starters. Like I said, to go down there and get a win, control the ball 9 of 16, or maybe 9 of 15 on third downs, 2 third down touchdowns, really out-executed them in the second half. And I thought that was an illustration of how good Jared Goff is playing, because there was clearly less time and less space against this Bucs defense than has been afforded the Lions offense, let's say, recently. Maybe the Seahawks were the best defense, you would say. Some people would say maybe the Chiefs were. There was a whole lot less time for Goff and a lot less space for receivers and running backs. This Bucs defense is really good. They were a worthy challenger, like we talked about in the preview. The 3rd and 10 touchdown pass to Jameson Williams will get a lot of attention. Or more accurately, Jameson Williams' turning, spinning catch against the safety who wasn't playing the ball should get a lot of the attention, especially because of how tough and aggressive that defense was. Without their 2 starting running backs, down 1 offensive lineman, maybe 2, and answered the call in the second half. The announcers tried to paint it as the Lions offense has struggled in the third quarter, and maybe the production hasn't been there. But today, I think over 230 yards of offense in the second half, if I counted correctly. I started to write my reaction video before the game was over, because really the Detroit defense was badass, and you could kind of tell that things were over with, even though Baker Mayfield and the Bucs did get down and have 3 or 4 shots at the end zone from around the 30, 32-yard line. Bucs and Lions defenses were great against the run. Total of 86 rushing yards on the day between these two offenses. Nonetheless, I thought the Lions were still very sound against the pass. Yeah, Mike Evans and Godwin got loose a few times. They're dangerous, and they're excellent receivers. It's a tough duo. The Bucs defense was able to match them until Goff just started to execute, particularly to the boundary, I thought, in the third quarter. Talked about both touchdown passes being on third down. Goff was in tremendous control. Impressive win, and I think that's where this one is unique. I haven't looked at all the game stats yet. From memory, the Lions haven't been held down in terms of the run game like this at all this year. 40 yards rushing on 22 carries, and that's where, like I said, this game is different from all the others. Kind of forced to be, I don't want to say one-dimensional, but kind of forced to not rely on the run game and the play action, and Goff was in the shotgun more in the second half. David Montgomery goes out in the first half. Craig Reynolds responds with a huge key block on St. Brown's touchdown on an underneath drag. Incredible hustle play by him. So many guys had an impact. Quarterbacks get all the attention, rightfully so in some cases, don't get me wrong. Goff was 30 of 44 for 340 yards. I don't think it was his most efficient day in terms of completion percentage. Couple of balls the announcers tried to paint as were thrown behind receivers. 2 of them, I think Goff is throwing them exactly where he wanted them, away from defenders, so he doesn't lead Laporta, and I forget who the other guy was. I think it was Reynolds one time maybe. Doesn't lead them into defenders. This is a worthy opponent, like I said in the preview video. Let's get to the 8th possession, which culminates in a touchdown to Jameson Williams, which I know excites Lions fans. It was exciting to watch. 3rd and 10. It's all the way at the bottom of your screen in terms of the play layout. I'm going to review this game kind of backwards. Talk about 2 second-half possessions first, because I think it's very important. The Bucs had just closed to 10-6 with a field goal, and showed the Lions defense, okay, we can move the ball, we can get down here on you. And then a 3rd and 4 completion to St. Brown over the middle. Third play from the top for you. 3rd and 4 from the -33. What was unique about this was it was a hurry up. So 2nd and 9, 5 yards to Laporta, left side versus zone. I thought it was tight window. You get the broadcast view, so you can't necessarily tell. But it was zone defense. Laporta with the catch. 3rd and 4, St. Brown over the middle. Huge play. Get 11 yards. I don't have the yardage mark there. Go 13 jumbo and go play action. So 13 jumbo means there's 2 tight ends and a 6th offensive lineman on the field. And it's play action. To me, it looks like they're designed to go up top. Nothing there. Comes back down to Craig Reynolds, right side for a short gain of 1. Completion to Jamison Williams on 800 sprint out. 800 sprint out for me, in the terminology I know, is sprint out left. 200 sprint out is sprint out right. Gets a 3rd and 1. And then Reynolds on the right side, St. Brown gets called for a hold, which was quite clearly a hold. It was an 11 personnel grouping, expecting St. Brown to block as if a tight end would, but you've got a lighter defensive personnel to match there. You've got the nickel personnel. So they like that matchup, the Lions. In this case, it backfired. St. Brown ended up holding, but he's been very good in those situations. The 3rd and 11 play, complete to Raymond against tough contact, I thought was an amazing illustration of how Goff trusts everyone. And the announcers touched on it some late in the game. How many guys had touched the football? I forget how many it was, but I'll show the game stats here in a moment so you can add them up for yourself. Converts the first down, and that was huge because the Lions struggled in the first half near midfield. And I'm going to show you 2 possessions, the first and the third possession, I think, where drives bogged down between the -45 and the +45. So another 10, 12, 13 yards, and you're in field goal range. I know the kicker missed a long field goal today from 52, but point is, this was a huge play. Bucs closed to 10-6, 3rd and 11 after they picked up the first down and penalty pushed them back. Completion to Khalif Raymond, just another guy who makes plays. Marvin Jones Jr., Josh Reynolds, unfortunately for him, caught a ball today that was only a 9-yard gain, so it wasn't a first down. I think 3 catches today, 2 of them for first downs. I'm not sure. Maybe it might have been more. Jamison Williams gets his hands on a ball on the ensuing play, 1st and 10. Again, jumbo 13 play action. Looked like Ben Johnson was trying to set up the Bucs defense. Hey, let me show you what looks like a run concept or a run personnel grouping, and then go up top. In this case, Williams was the lone receiver coming back to the ball left side, was in his hands or on his fingertips. Goff was also fading on the throw, unable to get it there. Laporta underneath with a drop on the ensuing play, sets up to 3rd and 10. And I'm sure this had to be exciting for Lions fans who've been waiting for Jamison Williams to make a big impact. 45-yard, I thought the announcer said it best, bomb. Now, I thought it was an unsound coverage by the Bucs. I thought they were expecting a middle of the field free safety or maybe a safety from the other side of the field. All 22 doesn't come out till Monday night, to go all the way over there and cover a corner route by Jamison Williams, who had run basically a free release from bunch right close. So he was the point man in the bunch, meaning he's on the line of scrimmage, free release with all his speed. The way the ball was thrown, Williams ends up having to spin around. Beautiful catch. I didn't think the defender was making a play on the ball. Puts him up 17-6 at that point, and really sucked a lot of the life out of the stadium, if you ask me, by taking a 17-6 lead. And even though, quite honestly, the Bucs defense was playing quite well at that point. I'm going to let some of the game stats flow. The very next offensive possession for the Bucs is a 3 and out, or 4 and out, I guess, actually. Evans is 16 yards on the first play, and then 3 and out. There's 2 run plays in a row. 1st and 10, Jack Campbell shuts it down, 2-yard gain. 2nd and 8, F counter play, and Anzalone is there. He played a beautiful game today. I know Evans got loose one time on him, right side out of empty. There was a lot of space there. Just a bad matchup going against Mike Evans. Anzalone played a brilliant football game today. I would love to do a film study video on him at some point this week. That may be a Tuesday thing because there's so much I try to get done on Monday nights. But in any case, the Lions defense, after Jamison Williams' bomb puts him up 17-6, immediately gets a stop. And I thought that was just stacking good plays together, complementary football for this team. So many guys making plays. Campbell and Anzalone there on the consecutive run plays for the stop. And then 3rd and 7, Kirby Joseph on a blitz off the edge. This was the 4th pass deflected near the line of scrimmage by the Lions today. I thought it was a huge play. Perhaps the ball carrier, or perhaps the receiver, if the ball was able to get out there, I think it was actually a running back in the left flats. Perhaps that guy could have got a first down. It was a 3rd and 7 from the negative 42. As it is, Joseph tips the pass, forces another punt, and that leads to the 9th possession by the Lions, which only resulted in a field goal, don't get me wrong. But it's bridged the end of the 3rd quarter into the 4th quarter, and they really took control, going from the negative 29 all the way down to the 18. 3rd and 8, passes deflected. Fortunately, 3rd and 8, there's the next last play from the bottom of the screen for you guys. Very fortunate. I think it was Tryon, number 9, tipped the ball up in the air. A defensive tackle had zone dropped out. Luckily, it didn't go anywhere near him. Very unique situation. It was 17-6 at that point. Deflected pass that ends up in an interception. The game could have been changed dramatically. Multiple passes tipped near the line today. I think 4 for the Lions and 2 for the Bucs. So somewhat unusual. 2 penalties by the Bucs. The 2nd and 3rd play of this drive create a 1st and 5 to open the 4th quarter, and a beautiful ball by Goff in rhythm over the middle to St. Brown on a dig from the right side out of 12 personnel. The personnel I try to track because I try to pay attention to what is the defense matching with. It looked to me like in this 12 personnel instance, the Bucs matched with their base defense, and then St. Brown was able to get a little bit more space over the top of the 2nd level in front of the safety level. Very next play, I think it was hurry up, is from the 34.5, almost the 34-yard line, and Goff comes up and calls torch, complete to Reynolds, right side, only 9 yards. Left side, excuse me. Josh Reynolds, that is. Only 9 yards to create a 2nd and 1. First time this year he's had a catch, and we're in week 6, that doesn't result in a first down. I thought that was pretty amazing. They've passed the midfield area again, and I was like, okay, we're going to get a touchdown here. It only resulted in a field goal. I thought it was a good decision to throw to Marvin Jones Jr., possibly his only catch of the day. 5-yard speed out. 1st and 10 from the 20. Same play that Laporta beat one of the linebackers on in the 1st quarter. They go back to it, and the announcers were on top of this one. The linebacker had some safety help. The ball, so he's able to play a little bit on the underside hip. Goff, as a consequence, had to throw it too wide, too far to the sideline for Laporta. Laporta had a tough day, don't get me wrong. And I think David played an excellent game at inside linebacker. But one thing Laporta was able to do, one thing you can do with a guy like Laporta on the field, you can line him up at outside receiver to the field. And 2 of the catches by St. Brown today were to the boundary, lined up in the slot. Normally the tight end is in the slot to the boundary. In this case, the Lions were able to put their best receiver, their best player, into the boundary because Laporta was able to line up to the field. I'm not talking about the 2nd and 10 play from the 20. I'm talking about 2 other situations in the game. My point is Laporta struggled today in that matchup with David at times, but I thought he acquitted himself well late, number 1. And number 2, some of the things you were able to accomplish offensively were because of Laporta's presence on the field, because he is so multi-talented. Field goal puts the Lions up 20-6 after the deflected pass falls to the ground. And you pretty much had to know at that point that this game is over. The Lions defense able to go out and get multiple stops thereafter, including a 3-and-out on the very next possession by the Bucs. Evans had an 8-yard catch. There's a 3rd and 2. Yeah, Baker Mayfield had 2 overthrows today that if he could have back, perhaps he could hit. I thought the matchup twice of Palmer against Will Harris was not in the Lions' favor. Let me let the game stats flow. I thought that matchup was not in the Lions' favor. They got away with it twice. Certainly, Brian Branch back would put you in a better situation to defend those things. 3-and-out forced by the Lions. Get the ball back with a little under 12 minutes left, I think, and just ate the clock up. Drive stalled on a 3rd and 9. Goff gets sacked from about the 40-yard line of the Bucs, so the plus 40-yard line, and that's where I'm going to start talking about the first half a little bit. There was a moment there in the first half. I mean, they go up 10-3 and take a 10-3 lead into the half. There was a moment there I was like, this Bucs defense, it might be the fastest and most physical that I've seen this year in some situations when they're able to go into attack mode. And what I want to illustrate here is the 1st and 3rd possession. where both of these drives reach the midfield area and the Lions are forced to punt. This was right around the time where I started to wonder, like, what are they going to be able to get accomplished today? And then at some point, Montgomery gets hurt, I think on the fourth possession, maybe the fifth. And it was kind of interesting to me at that point. I was thinking, man, this is a very good defense. I thought they were good. In my preview, I identified that and got some pushback from some comments. I mean, you have to admit it now. This is a complete defense when they're all healthy and they're all out there. Their starting DB group was able to be out there today. They pushed this Lions offense. They pushed Ben Johnson. And I think these two drives here, I saw Ben Johnson's face one time after a third down incompletion. I think it was the third one that went to the bottom of your screen, 3rd and 2, Laporta versus David, who again I thought played a spectacular game. I thought two inside linebackers in this game played amazing. David for the Bucs and Anzalone for the Lions. Now, you did get a fantastic punt here after this third down, I think, where the Bucs returner, faked out everybody for the Lions. Two guys went with him, and the ball ends up going through the end zone. I thought it was still a good punt. I thought the punters put on a show today. Now, after this, what makes the fifth possession where St. Brown scores to take a lead, what makes it most impressive to me is the drives had twice stalled out in the first half, right around midfield. And when they got to, I'm going to let the game stats flow here again. When they got to around the midfield on this fifth possession, it was Josh Reynolds again, a 2nd and 10. I don't have the game notes here up for you guys, so forgive me for that. This fifth possession, twice you've already stalled out. Jerry Jacobs nearly got an interception on the Bucs' previous possession on a 3rd and 3. So the Bucs had to settle for a field goal that tied the game at 3. And then Reynolds with a 21-yard catch. St. Brown with a screen to the boundary. I think Laporta's lined up to the field there. I think they switched those two guys in that situation. Reynolds gets a toss play for 2 yards. Montgomery is out to that point after the 19-yard screen. And then the 27-yard touchdown to St. Brown. I think it's a beautifully designed play. Craig Reynolds deserves credit for the hustle, no doubt. I thought Josh Reynolds also had a nice seal block on it. The design of the play looks like it's meant for a potential downfield block by Josh Reynolds. I think Craig Reynolds added to it in terms of that's not the design of the play. It's not a play created such that, hey, Craig, we want you to get downfield and block. I think that's just superior hustle by him. I think the design of the play is for Josh Reynolds to be available as a blocker. If St. Brown catches it on an underneath drag, that's the level of, to me, I'm making an inference here. That's the level of planning and design that I think Ben Johnson gets to that not every offensive coordinator does. Some guys that I think played fantastic. Look, I talked about Anzalone already. I thought Jerry Jacobs played extremely well. Outside corner, Tracy Walker. I mean, it was like all of a sudden in the fourth quarter he showed up and started making some huge hits. I was glad they picked up that penalty on him because that certainly was not a defenseless receiver. It's just playing football. At that point, if you can't hit receivers who are catching the ball and then turning or beginning to turn maybe, I mean, how do you expect defenses to respond at all? Like, what are you going to do, just touch the guy? So I was glad they picked that flag up. Walker went on another blitz and hit Baker Mayfield, I thought, to kind of force an errant throw. He was under duress, and if he were not under duress, it probably would have been a touchdown to Trey Palmer left side. Multiple guys for the Bucs, I think, if they look back on this game, would say we missed opportunities. Mike Evans had a drop early in the half, I thought. A couple of other guys missed blocks, but the Lions' defense, you have to give them credit. Their block destruction is amazing. Anzalone, 3 times on counter plays, gets downhill and sets the tight end or the fullback inside. One time the running back was able to cut it back inside for like 6 or 8 yards in the first half, but he played with a lot of force. I think the Lions are surviving without some of their healthy defensive guys, edge players, Brian Branch not being out there, C.J. Gardner-Johnson. I'm still hoping that guy's going to come back at some point late in the season because he's so much fun to watch and talk about. For the Lions to do what they did today, go down there and win against a tough, hard-nosed team, you got to give the Bucs credit. They're 3-2. Yeah, people will say they've played an easy schedule. They just gave the Lions offense hell. The Lions did possess the ball for 36 minutes. They did chew up a lot of time in the second half. And if they needed more touchdowns, they would have probably called some different plays there in the fourth quarter. It shows the depth of the team that you can have so many guys. You can see it on the screen in the bottom left now. So many guys who catch the football at various times and contribute. Clearly, St. Brown had 12 catches for 124. Kind of unbelievable. It's a credit to the Bucs for how good they are defensively that I'm going to say this. I think the Lions have gears that they can get to on offense. And today it seemed like once they got a 17-6 lead, they realized we don't have to get to fifth gear here. We can stay in fourth gear. Maybe that's a bad comparison, but I think this Lions offense understands the situation. I think Ben Johnson understands the situation when the defense is playing so well. Things seem to be well coordinated between the offense and the defense, such that Ben Johnson isn't going to put the quarterback or put the offense at risk with some high-profile plays because the defense has things under control. 5-1, I'm sure feels really good. Even though the pass rush was non-existent for most of the day in terms of sacks, only one sack, so many guys got hands on balls to deflect them. I think Isaiah Buggs had one. Joseph had one, like I talked about. Tracy Walker didn't deflect the pass on the blitz, but he crushed Baker Mayfield. I thought there was another time where I think Julian Okwara, should be specific, got his hands up to deflect a pass. Very active defense. When you see a defense that's that active, getting hands on balls, whether it's thrown downfield or at the line of scrimmage, they're well trained. And there's evidence of it by looking at the screen right there in the bottom left. Tampa Bay had 250 total yards and only 13 first downs, and average, I think, 4.5 or 4.6 yards per play. Pretty unique performance, I think, by the Lions with so many guys out and getting a touchdown from a guy who hadn't contributed this year in that way, Jameson Williams. He's not a rookie, but consider him one in some ways because of the amount of snaps he's gotten in the last year, almost year and a half, playing for the Lions. I appreciate you guys' time. If you enjoyed the video, please let me know what you think of these reaction-style videos. I'll try to have film study video out on Anzalone and the Lions defense early on Monday, and then hopefully late Monday night after the Monday Night Football game, have something out to talk about the 8th and 9th possessions in the second half, really where I think the Lions softened up the Bucs defense and created a situation where Ben Johnson and Aaron Glenn could play off of each other, understanding that, hey, we've got this under control on one side, you don't need to put us at risk on the other. Which all leads up to next week, which is going to be a whole heck of a lot of fun for me and hopefully you. The Lions at Baltimore. Lions are 5-1. Ravens fans, to be honest with you, are disappointed at only being 4-2. Almost like a heavyweight fight, if you ask me. The Ravens are going to have to play a tremendous game to deal with this Lions team because of all the depth that's there and the number of playmakers that could be coming back healthy after next week. Appreciate you guys' time. If you think other Lions fans would enjoy this content, this reaction video to the Lions' 26 win over the Bucs, please consider grabbing a link to this video, sharing it out on social media to help this content get more reach.